What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video on my channel, and today we're going to be doing the annual thing. It's time for the 2022 season predictions for the AFL, and it's going to be a massive year for footy, so I hope you all are very excited for what promises to be one of the better seasons in the AFL to come. After last year's triumph for the Dees, the Dogs will be fighting. Geelong are still there. My boys Port Adelaide will be around the mark, and it's going to be fascinating to see who jumps back into the 8 or who's going to be one of the new kids on the block coming back into the 8 for the first time in a while. I'm looking at you, Carlton. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. Here's my ladder and who I think will win the premiership, the Coleman medal, and also the Brownlow medal. And if you're listening as well, this will be available on Spotify, as will all my Port Adelaide previews and reviews in 2022. Something a little bit different I'll be doing this year. So instead of watching me, you can just listen to me as you drive along. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and subscribe for many more Port Adelaide and AFL content coming your way across the 2022 season. Now that's out the way, let's get straight into it. Here's my 2022 AFL predictions. Coming in at 18th position. Now, it was a lot of... This is going to be the hardest ladder of them all because everyone is so close. Everyone is almost on par with each other when it comes to the lower part of the ladder. And I think this one might surprise a few people, but I'm not feeling 100% at the moment about them. And I'm tipping Hawthorn to be wooden spooners in 2022. A little bit of a left field call, but I just feel like something might happen there where Sam Mitchell in charge, maybe a little bit of a different opinion. It might change that. But they do get Gunston back and a few extras, so they could very well prove me wrong. I did get Collingwood right last year in 17th, but who knows what will happen there. Speaking of 17th, I'm going with it again. I'm going Collingwood to finish 17th on the ladder. They've got a young list now. They've got a brand new coach. They're going to find it a little bit tougher. They've had a pretty standard off-season. And I haven't seen too much about Collingwood besides the Jordan De Goey debacle and everything happening there. But they do have Dacos, who's come in, a young talent. And I wouldn't be surprised once again if Collingwood's one of these teams that do jump a little bit because they have such good talent. Darcy Moore, to name a few as well, who is one of their star pupils. So, and they still have that very strong midfield group that will be capable of winning games. So very much in the balance for Collingwood this year, and I have no expectations of them, so I'll be happily surprised if they do jump the ladder, but also I think I'll be pretty happy if they don't do too well either. And I do apologise to Swoop Luke because he's a fantastic bloke, so I hope they happen to be good for him this year. In 16th, now I trust that these blokes will jump a little bit. I think with the recruitment that they've had in the off-season and a magnificent draft hand, that they will actually do some damage this year, and they showed that with the form. So North Melbourne will be 16th. Jason Horne-Francis, fantastic at the moment, showing some great signs in the trials that I've been witnessing. So it'll be interesting to see how that all pans out across the season, but I definitely feel like they'll have a strong start and they'll be capable of getting a few scalps along the way. Finishing 15th on the ladder, it will be West Coast, one of my teams that will drop a little bit more this year. I do feel like they're in a bit of no man's land at the moment, and a lot of situation happening around COVID and how that'll pan out. Their borders are opening just before the season starts. A little bit of a coincidence there, but they could very well make the 8, and that'll be a little bit of a different story to prove me wrong. But I just feel like at this stage they're in the lower part of the ladder, and it'll be hard to see where they can find a bit of improvement come when it gets to the busy part of the year. 14th, I've got a team that's jumping a little bit. I think Adelaide. They just have a sense about them this year that can be more than capable of jumping a few positions. And I think their third year under Matty Nix, he's got a good young crop of players in there. They will get Tex back. And I feel like that they could push a little bit more. And those players that have just been a little bit underdone or a little bit young are now hitting their strides. And third and fifth year players will actually make a big difference. They do get Malira back as well, which is a very good sign for Adelaide. And as much as I hate to say it and love seeing them do no good, I do feel like that they'll be capable of making a big stride in 2022. Finishing 13th on the ladder, I do have the Gold Coast Suns. Now, I did actually have them way higher. But with the poor news about Ben King, it did drop them a little bit. But I still think they'll find a bit of improvement. And with Stewie G's job on the line, basically, he's got the most pressure. They'll get about 8 to 10 wins this year. And I think I just think their crop of players they'll take the next step, and they'll be a little bit of surprise packet, which I think will be great to see for them, because if they bottom out and finish bottom 4 or finish last and get a wooden spoon, they're not just Stewie Jew's job's in jeopardy. The whole club's in jeopardy, because we want to see some improvement from the Gold Coast Suns. And I love Stewie Jew, so I just want to see him get a bit of success and take this team to where it needs to go. Finishing 12th. You're not going to like this, but I think they're about to bottom out. And I say it every year. They make the top 4, they make the top 6, and somehow do the good job. But Geelong, I'm thinking Geelong are just going to finally... They're going to hit that wall. And I hate saying that, because I do enjoy Geelong a little bit. And I think they're capable of doing big things. And they've got the big key forwards of Hawkins and Jezza Cameron. And, you know, as I'm saying this, I'm like, wow, really? You're going to put them 12th? But I just think there's a lot of teams now that are capable of jumping them. And whether or not they finish 12th, I don't know. But I'm penciling them there, because there's a lot of teams that are about to make the jump now. And I think they're capable. Finishing 11th. Now, it wasn't a no-brainer that they finished scraping into the top 8 last year. Unfortunately, going down to the Dogs, who were eventual grand finalists. But Essendon are finishing 11th. I think they peaked a little bit too early with their Bomber outfit. They were quite young. I think they'll find it a little bit more difficult this year. They do have one of the harder fixtures throughout the year. So I think they're more than capable of finishing really high and finishing in the top 4 or top 6. But just something tells me that they're not quite there, and they might have another year where they just take a step back and then go full throttle in 2023. Again, I could be proven wrong, but it just, they're one of the teams that will be around the mark and really push for that 8th spot again. Finishing 10th is probably the team that's been finishing 10th for the last 10 years, and it's Fremantle. They could very well make the 8. They have a very strong crop of players. I love Sarong. Unfortunately, losing Adam Chera. But I think they're in their stride. They're ready to pounce, and John Longima has the team capable. I just don't know whether or not they've got the spark to finish in the 8. And they could very well drop way below too. And that'll be such a bad sign for them. But they'll be in Perth. They'll be able to work a good schedule. They have a pretty good fixture as well. And they won't be too affected by COVID now that their situation is changing over there. So be interesting to see. But with Fremantle, it's just a wait and see, I think. Finishing 9th. And I want them to make the 8 because they deserve to make the 8. But I just have a couple of teams ahead of them at the moment. And it's St Kilda. I just feel like at the moment there's a lot of teams making that big step. And St Kilda haven't taken that big step. They took a long time to make a good step last year. And it became too late. And I would love to see them make the 8 because I think with Max King, they've got a great young crop of players down there. And they're just, I don't know, Brett Ratton's a little bit under pressure at the moment. Similar situation than he was at Carlton, where he had a lot of pressure on him, ended up losing a game to Gold Coast, and that was the last straw for him. So hopefully he can make that next step because they made the finals a couple of years ago, and they were looking fantastic. And they need to make that stride, and I hope they do, and they might take a big leap in 2022. But I've got them finishing 9th. Okay, it's time for the top 8. If you're not satisfied with my bottom 10, then I'm so sorry that I've probably offended you and your team. But that's just the way I'm feeling at this current stage. And you know what? We might be getting to round 4, and we'll probably see Essendon, Geelong, Fremantle, and St Kilda finishing in the top 4 because they just have, that probability of proving me wrong. Because I love being proven wrong when I do these things because I'm absolutely shocking. But let's get to the top 8, and finishing in 8th position is GWS. They have a very, very good young crop of players. I do feel like that they could make a massive stride and really run for the top 4. And I think this year the top 8 will be even closer. There was a big spread between the top 5 and the rest last year. But I think the top 8 will be a lot closer. And I have them finishing 8th. But they could very well finish top 4. Finishing 7th is Carlton. I've got them making the 8, and a lot of Carlton fans might have gotten to this part of the video and been like, oh my God, he hasn't mentioned them. The Blues aren't here yet. What's he got? What's he do? Why is Anthony thinking about the Blues finishing higher than 10th? Carlton supporters, Blue Abroad, if you're watching, they are making the top 8, finishing 7th. There's going to be a massive leap this year. I know Sam Walsh is going to be missing for the first part of the year, and that's unfortunate. But the inclusion of Adam Chera, the fit and firing Paddy Cripps, he looks sensational. in his training. They got a full season of Charlie Curnow. Combine that with Mackay down forward, I think, and they do lose Liam Jones down back, but Wiedering does such a fantastic job. I think they're ready, and I think they're going to make that stride. So I've got them finishing 7th, and they're going to be playing at the MCG in the first final, playing 6th, who will be Richmond. Now, Richmond, to me, had one of those seasons where you just fall away after winning a premiership. You know, you've done all you can, and now you just fall away because you've done so well for so long and staying so high. But now you got some injuries. Dusty's back fit. Jack Graham's finding some great form. He found that the later part of the year. I love the work of Jaden Short. A full season of Jack Riewoldt and Tom Lynch. I think it's capable. They're very much capable of doing a last dance style comeback and winning one last flag for Damien Hardwick before they probably fall away again. They have a great mix, and you never write off a champion side. There's still that champion team, and they've got a good young crop of players too. So watch this space on Richmond. Could be one of those that I get proven wrong and they finish 16th. But I don't want that. I do think Richmond, for the good of for the AFL too, is them at the MCG. They're back at home, and they're going to be playing some good footy. So we'll wait and see, but they're finishing 6th, and a home final against Carlton. That's 2013 all over again. Finishing 5th will be the Western Bulldogs. Once again, they weren't too potent during the last year, in the later part of the year. They were finishing in the top 2 for the majority of the year, and they fell away in the last couple of rounds. But then they found their feet in the finals, and as a Port fan, I know the rest. But they're finishing 5th. I don't find them doing too much damage, because there's a lot of teams ahead of them, I think, are still capable of carrying through. The Dogs have finished 5th. They'll fight for top 4, and 5th is not a bad position. They went to the grand final finishing 5th. But how much damage does that grand final do to them? You'll find out, because a lot of teams that play in a grand final that lose have trouble the year after. So we'll wait and see on them. But I can definitely see the Western Bulldogs doing some damage this year again. But whether or not they're capable, we'll wait and see. They don't have Joshy Bruce. A lot is going to rely on Aaron Norton when it comes to going forward. They will have Jamara, who will be fit and firing, so a full season for him may do them wonders. So a lot of probability around the Western Bulldogs at the moment. So they're finishing 5th, but they could very well finish higher. Now we get to the top 4, and the big jump for me, I think, improvement-wise. Now, it could go either way for this team too, especially being young. And I said Essendon would go the other way with their youngsters and fall away a bit. But Sydney, I have them rising. They're a champion team. Horse, the coach, is going to get them going. John Longmire. I got that wrong before, by the way. Longmuir is the coach of Fremantle. But John Longmire will get this team going. Buddy Franklin, fully fit, going to kick his 1,000th goals this year. That's going to be a great spectacle, and I think they're going to have a lot of momentum going into the year. So finishing top 4 is going to be a very good position for them. They could fight for that flag. You just never know. Finishing 3rd, Port Adelaide Football Club. Now, I think we're a very strong home and away season team. There's no doubt that we have the capabilities of really running this year ragged. A lot of people still think we'll fall away, because they say that every year when we finish top 4 and fail at a prelim. But this is almost the last chance for Port Adelaide. Ken Hinckley's got to get us to a flag-winning position, and that's making the grand final. And for me, we've made top 2. We finished top in 2020. We've got home finals, and we just think it's going to fall into place. Whereas this year, I feel like in a position where we finished 3rd, and we have a challenge. When we're challenged, we seem to stand up, i.e. against the Bulldogs in the first game that we played against them the last game of the season, round 23. We had the challenge there to make top 2, and we did it. We took it up to them. So I think having the challenge of travelling in finals may do us a world of good. Not having that home final might stir us on a bit. And to finish 3rd and then win a flag, it's a lot more pressure on the home team. And we succumb to the pressure in big situations, i.e. the prelim final last year. So finishing 3rd, we'll have a good home and away season. We have a pretty good draw. A lot of great games at home. And the development, we're going to have a full season of Zach Butters. And a lot of great development as well coming through from the youngsters and also the elder boys too. So a lot of watch this space on Port Adelaide too. Finishing 2nd, home final at the Gabba, Brisbane. I think another great year for them. They got the eighth hardest draw for the year. They're going to get. They're not going to have Hipwood, unfortunately, but Joe Danaher's just signed a new contract. It's going to be fit and fire, and they're going to get Cam Rayner back. They've got a great young list. They've got a great crop of leaders, and I just think they're primed again. Like they have to try and push now because they can't keep going out in straight sets. And they're another team, maybe that playing away from home might do them a world of good. But who knows? But they've got a pretty good draw, and I think they'll challenge once again. Finishing top is the Premiers, Melbourne. I just feel like they're going to be the next dynasty team. The way they dominated last year was absolutely sensational. They blitzed everyone. They're one of those teams now that's going to be stapled in a lot of people's top 4, top 2, and even finishing first. And probably a lot of people's premiers this year because I can't find another team that's going to really challenge them. And that's the beauty of getting a 60-point win in a grand final, is the fact that no one else is near you. But they become the hunted this year, and that's going to be something for them to deal with, and a lot more pressure will come their way. So mentally, I think they're physically fantastic. Mentally, they're strong. But being the hunted might be a bit different this year. And being labelled the Premiers, the challenge is to go back-to-back. So that's my ladder for 2022. Comment below on YouTube your thoughts, and let me know if there's any changes or any abuse you have from the positioning of your team. But let's get into the individual accolades now. I'm going firstly with the Premiers for 2022, and that is Melbourne. I do think they'll go back-to-back. They have such a strong list. They've picked up really well in the draft too. They have a great crop of players, a lot of role players that really do the job. It's a Richmond-like team when it comes to role players. No big-name players that really stand out besides the Oliver, Gawn, Petrarca. They have a strong list, and I can't see anyone stopping them. And this year, they're going to probably do it at the G. My Brownlow medal tip, I'm so proud of Ollie Wines for last year. I don't think he'll go back-to-back, though. I think there will be a lot more of a challenge in Port Adelaide's midfield this year, which will be great to see for the team. But 36 votes for Ollie Wines. Can he do it again? I'm not 100% sure. I do think he'll continue the form, no doubt. But my tip is Jack Steele. I think with St Kilda, probably going to have a fantastic 2022. He got a lot of votes from a team that actually sucked the majority of 2021. So I think he's going to be one of those surprise wins this year. And I can't see anyone really... Well, I can see a lot of people challenging. Bont, Oliver, Petrarca, any Ollie Wines, as I said. But I think it'll be another close Brownlow, but I feel like he's primed to be an unlikely winner. And my Coleman medal tip for 2022 is Harry Mackay. I think, once again, in a Carlton side that'll actually do really well this year, and the help of Charlie Curnow, he'll be kicking another 60-plus goals again. And Joseph Cameron will be charging for that position as well. I think a lot of smalls will do well with Charlie Cameron and also Bailey Fritsch. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Joe Danaher, too, from Brisbane might be a good shout as well, considering there won't be as much of any options besides himself down there. So it'll be interesting to see how the Coleman medal pans out. Normally, Carlton sucked last year pretty much, and I'm sorry to say that, but he kicked 60 goals and being the only target. So if they improve and kick more goals, he might be on the end of a few more. And that's it, everyone. Thank you very much for watching my AFL 2022 predictions. This is going to be a massive year, and I hope I'm proven wrong for a lot of this, and I hope your team does succeed in 2022. The AFL needs it. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how it all pans out, and it starts only, I think, less than a month away now with the first game on a Wednesday night, Melbourne versus the Western Bulldogs. So it's going to be a massive week. The practice games are all happening as well. So footy's back, and I'm very much excited. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content coming your way. Follow me on Spotify as well now, considering all of these will be podcasts and the big audio, so you can listen to me while driving, which would be such a shame. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. My name is Anthony, and as always, can the pair.